Welcome to Baseball Blueprint, your home for all things player development.
Welcome, everyone, to another infield chat. Today's topic is maximizing training environments. Special shout out to our sponsors in Valley Sporting Goods and Heater Sports. Make sure you check out the new Valley backpacks. These are sweet. They've got a bunch of different colors. Heater's got some awesome products out there too. The Valley training mitts, both if you need discounts on either products, check out the link in the bio, as well as to check out some really cool podcast information on this topic. Today we are joined with Brandon Zink and Joel Vina. Guys, this is awesome, man. I'm happy you guys made the time to step out here, and this is going to be exciting.
All right, I'm excited for it, Cody.
I dig it.
I'm excited for it as well. First week here with everybody, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, man. And so we're expecting some others hopping on probably intermittently through this. I think Tyler Packnick's going to jump on and possibly an assortment of other guys as well. So let's dive right in here. So when it comes to skill development, that's kind of what we're after, right? We want to make sure these guys can play. So special shout out to Matt Shin. If you haven't checked out his stuff, he's pretty active on TikTok, has a really good Twitter following as well. Just awesome stuff there. Had a great podcast about just finding different ways to apply constraints to athletes and allow them to grow more as competitors as well as just skill-based movers. So finding the idea of what skill is important. So within this idea is the essence of that. It's not just the player understanding a move. It's understanding when to use the move and how to adjust the move. And I think that's really what we're trying to get after here when we're trying to maximize our training environments. And there are a lot of different constraints that we intentionally put on players to allow them to grow. And then there's also constraints that maybe we aren't so fond of. And we'll address those, as we get going on this as well too. So let's first dive into emergence and constraints led approach here. So we're talking about naturally learned processes. We don't want to just have a bunch of cookie cutter movers, first of all, because not a whole lot of guys move the same way. So when we look at guys who are able to be innovative and adjustable and instinctual with their moves, yes, there's a certain level of comfortability with those moves they have to have. Like we want that skill to be developed. But oftentimes the best way to develop that is through adding constraints to their play. And so as we go through these, some of the more common environmental constraints that we see on the baseball field are the field surface and the weather. And those are two things we really don't have a ton of control over. So how do we find ways to have our players adapt and get comfortable with those and work with their bodies? I mean, there's a lot of different heights, different types of movers, different reaction times that you've got to deal with. And then beyond that, like you've got the game, right? And so depending on what we want to do in terms of the skill we want to develop, we can start to alter the rules of the game and find different ways to value different movements. I know something that Brandon's done in the past with our guys at Bo Jackson is we kind of shrink the field and we say, okay, we're going to score this game based on points. And so it might be machine BP and a bump for a hit might be 2 points. And so if we want to put more emphasis on that skill, we make it worth more in the game, and it's fun when you're working with like high level competitors like we're working with at BJE, and I think we might have some footage of that later. But Brandon, is this something where as you're going through your practice plan, you really try to hunt these kind of like ideas and kind of routes to make these guys grow differently?
Yeah. I mean, you've been a part of it. We try to have a progressive practice plan. And start with constraints and start to kind of let loose the reins a little bit as we get through practice. As you were talking, and I don't want to get too off topic here, but as you were talking, where we are in the facility, we don't have environmental constraints. But one of the things I thought about is when you mentioned weather, like if it's raining out or if it's windy out, you can add first thing that came to my mind, obviously it's been super windy here in Ohio, is adding in like pop flies and making a game of who can catch the most pop flies, create teams. So yeah, one of the props to you for this too. Like one of the things we've been doing a great job of at the facility is making games out of little drills that we create or implement to one, keep it fun, but also get players to use the skills that we're trying to enhance within that setting.
I dig it. I dig it. And so one of the things, and you guys will see it from later on as we go, Joel has some incredible footage of a lot of variability within his training environments. And I think when we talk constraints here, this is pretty specific in these examples, but keep an eye out for when we get to Joel's videos. Notice the different types of constraints that he's using, different variabilities and angles and visuals. It's just some really, really good stuff. So keep an eye out for that. And so some of the constraints that we see, and the truth be told, this was coming from a basketball podcast, but this is something where I know with us, we do a lot of 2v2 and like 5v5 games in our practice plans. I know DJ Neff, who's a coach at Wittenberg, is a huge fan of our like it's almost like a pick tennis type deal where we're going 2v2 and you're playing doubles. So finding ways to help, kind of get comfortable with different moves and apply constraints to the training is really fun. So the example I use with this is that instead of teaching a tag with depth and just getting them robotic with that movement, what if we say, okay, here's the situation. Now we're rolling a ball to second. And that's something we've done at the Dome too, where we're trying to time up that play. And now they've got to adjust. It's not just a tag with depth. Now it's a tag that moves at different paces. And now it's a ball flight that you have to receive in different locations. And so adding in this variability and the different constraints to the drill creates a little bit more of a natural learner. And I think, to be honest, if we're trying to boost the longevity of the athlete, they've got to be able to find out how they learn best. And I think this is a great way to do it. So I think when we mention adaptive solutions, that's really what we're hunting, is the natural learning of a movement, as opposed to them just trying to go in and saying, okay, in this scenario, this is the move I know, so now I'm kind of pigeonholed with this. Our training hopefully can solve that problem. And so the role of one-on-one training, and Brandon and I were talking about this earlier, but like as trainers, it's a little tough to kind of cope with it, but it's true. Like sometimes with that isolated setting, it's really difficult to maximize the type of output we get from our players. Like we can add variability into this situation in this setting for sure, but I think what ends up happening is trying to find ways to keep the athlete adaptive and competitive gets a little bit more difficult when it's a little bit less group oriented, especially in a group oriented game like baseball. Because I know, like I said, this is coming from a basketball podcast, but you look at a basketball player, if he's just going to go shoot like uncontested threes all day, he's probably not going to be the guy that's going to go like hit a step off, right? So we have to find ways to mimic the environment as best we can. And I mean, it's funny, Joel, I know you have experience as a trainer and in this environment versus the environment where you're at now, where you're working with, like, especially during indie periods, like groups of 4 and 5. What's been that contrast for you?
Yeah, I mean, working in kind of the private sector, I guess you could say, doing private lessons, you could do one-on-ones quite a bit, and I did a lot of one-on-ones, yeah, like what you said, making the competitive factor, it's really tough, especially if you have a low motor versus high motor kind of kid. And if he's if he's able to, I guess, dig deep or dig inside of himself to get, himself going, to create some sort of external or internal motivation. There's different kids that, have those type of, that are those type of kids. And so what I would do, a lot of the time was I was very honest with the kids that I worked with. I was very honest with the kids, and I was also very honest with the parents. Sometimes hearing, the harsh truth can hurt a little bit, and it can get you going in the beginning of a lesson. It can get you going in the beginning of a whatever camp we have. Setting expectations, setting goals, and also being realistic with the players and helping them have a game plan. It allows you to weed through the individuals. And once you're able to get a good group or have a individual that knows what he wants, then they're able to actually kind of find their why. So in that sense, yeah, you are kind of like, you're mentoring them in that way. In the physical aspect of it, it was a lot of, kind of getting their bodies primed, like you say a lot, kind of waking up the hands or waking up the feet. I would use a lot of things like ladder drills, pick work, all those type of things that kind of get those kids engaged and involved. And then after that, I would kind of build on into like a competition. I would use sets of 10. I don't know. I just like using 10 because it was a round number. And it's like, okay, let's make a competition out of this. Out of this set of 10 of the set of 10 picks, how many times can you go 10 for 10? How many times can you go perfect? And it's like once we got through those that type of work, they started to get into the habits of like, okay, well, coach wants me to compete, not so much in a group setting, but he wants me to compete against myself in this setting.
Yeah.
So it's establishing that culture or that feeling of, okay, when coach is with me, he's going to want me to compete in every little thing that I do. So that's kind of what I would
Awesome.
do.
I dig it, dude. I dig it. That's sweet. And it's funny you mentioned that, like, the energy that you bring to the table is so important, right? And I think a lot of these constraints and a lot of the stuff that we work with guys on from just creating an environment standpoint, when we can, try to make that reflect the group you're with, right? That shouldn't just be the same thing over and over and over. Like, be adaptable. Like, our job is to cater to the way the players learn. Their job isn't to just how we teach, right? So finding that slot is really important. Brandon, these are some things that you mentioned to me the other day. Do you want to take this one over here?
Yeah. When we were talking about this was really what I was thinking about when we were talking about constraints and training environments and just limited resources. So, I coach in college. Cody, you've coached in college. Joel, are you in college or high school? I forget.
I'm at Towson University.
Okay, so you're in college, and I was telling Cody, like, I've been in pro baseball. I've been in that environment, so I know even at that level, we deal with, or I've seen it. Coaches have dealt with limited resources, and Cody and I were talking a little bit earlier. We're just trying to list out some resources that we've either experienced or seen that's been limited, and so the kind of list we came up with. And Joel, feel free to chime in if you see anything that's missing, but. The time that we have allotted with players, the space that we might be sharing a field or a space with another group, or we might be stuck in a cage or a real small, if we're talking infield play, in a small turf area that's, doesn't really have a dirt part to it or bases on it or whatever. Equipment and technology, we might be short baseballs, we might be short fungos, we might not have a Hawkeye system, staff personnel, number of players. We might not have, it might just be us with 6 or 8 infielders. It might be, 2 coaches with 16 infielders, whatever the case may be. And then number of players might dictate like how we do certain group things. And I've got some notes here that we'll probably talk about a little bit later on how we can overcome some of these. And then final one is just resources. I know, like, I wish Tyler was on the podcast because I know Jacksonville State has a lot more money than some of the D3 schools that we coach at, Cody. But monetary constraints obviously is a real thing. And then workload management is another one we came up with where, great examples, like if players can't throw that day, we got to find non-throwing drills or drills that implement, a post-catch footwork pattern without a throw, that we're still keeping players active and engaged and doing the right things throughout the drills and acquiring the skills that we're still looking for.
Right. I think there's one that I would like to add it's kind of common in the college space. It's administrative or class schedules.
I like it.
I think it goes into time, but man, oh man, like every semester we got to start off with a big Excel sheet. JD Pulfer, the hitting coach here at Towson, he does a really good job of kind of getting everybody's lists and times and schedules. And it's like sometimes we're like, man, we want to do a hitting group with this one, but he can't because he's got to leave because he's got like, engineering class for something, and he's like a 4-year, he's a senior, so you can't mix him in with this group. So it goes back to that like personnel time space where it's like, dang, it's really hard to work around some of these class schedules, and it's frustrating.
No, Joel, I think that's a great point because we do individuals, and you probably experience the same thing. We do indie groups, and I always try to find I can't always make the indie groups because I have a second job, obviously. So I always tell our infielders, like, find a time that all the infielders or majority of the infielders can be in one group, because that's kind of the group that I'm obviously most passionate about, but I oversee directly. So I want to make sure I am active and present for as much of the infield indies as possible. Obviously it doesn't always work perfectly. We might have one group with 2 infielders, one group with 6, and one group with 4, and it just works out that way, unfortunately. And then we, might have a catcher in one and a couple outfielders, and now you're trying to find ways to work with all of them at the same time. And again, we'll probably go over a little bit of how do we overcome that and in a little bit. So
that was one I just wanted to shout out because it's one that I have so many with every time. So
yep.
All right, we're gonna bounce to our OneDrive here. So we got some videos from Joel. I think we might have Tyler get into the waiting room soon. So he's gonna text me when he jumps in. But Joel, you good if we start with your videos here first?
Sure, yeah. I sent a good amount. I don't know.
You did, man.
I worked a lot at DBAT with limited space, and then obviously this is Muzzy Field in Bristol, Connecticut. That's using like the whole stadium and how to use all my infielders, not just. I mean, we could have done indie groups, but I mean, who's really doing an indie group in summer ball? I'm already doing more than most by just doing an early work for infield every day. So I use all my infielders here, but right now this drill is I guess the cauldron or the gauntlet, whatever you want to call it. Different names, right? Everybody has a different name for this drill, but you could start either, again, like adding variability. You can start on your knees with a training glove. You could use on your knees, no glove with a tennis ball. That makes it a lot harder. You can go on your knees, tennis ball in a hand and another tennis ball. All different variables. But you're just working on the short hops here, picking through it, receiving it from different angles. It's really hard to move on your knees to move at a different angle. So it's kind of working just your hand. You're isolating your hand either through a backhand or forehand. You can see there, Ian Battipaglia, he's trying his best to kind of receive a throw from everybody. It's just different angles, working different angles on his knees. And I think I have another video where he's standing up. He could either be stationary or you can move into post catch position to your power position. So yeah, that's one video there. I don't know if you want to stop and talk about that one.
Yeah, my bad, Joel. These are so not in order that you sent me.
I'm
But
sorry.
that's how it goes sometimes. That's how it goes. No, that's on me. That's on me. The size of the video sometimes will make.
I can explain them all. Give me 1 second, and I can remember it in my mind of like what we were doing. We were trying to accomplish that day, and I can explain it. But
yeah, I like this one. This is cool.
Yeah, it's another. Go ahead. What's that?
How heavy is that med ball?
So I use a 6-pound med ball.
Okay.
I mean,
Tyler,
the weight,
your voice.
is there like a science to the weight? Not really. It's just something where it's in between, like not too light and not too heavy, where it's just gonna slow them down and they can move.
I dig it, man. That's sweet. What's up, Tyler? How are you? Welcome.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Tyler, how's it going?
Nothing much. We're recording right now. We're just rolling through Joel's videos here. He's got some awesome clips of some of his drill work. So we're kind of working our way through it.
Joel, I think that first video, not to backtrack a little bit here, but I think that first video does, and I've done this before too, I think it does a good job of incorporating a lot of players in one setting. So I'm guessing you were probably by yourself here, and you had 4, 5, 6 infielders. It's kind of the heart and soul of this segment that we're going over right now. Like how do you incorporate all of your infielders into one small setting? Looks like you have about half, maybe a quarter of a field that you're utilizing. You could even add in like a second station. Maybe he's throwing from his knees and then another group's doing tags, and then you rotate after so much time. So I really like this. I really like that that we added this clip here.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
that's good. That's a good one to start on, I guess.
Do
So
you,
did
do you
not
think you
plan
would
that.
target? Sorry, Joel.
Go ahead.
Would you target this with like with someone else? If you're like, okay, his pocket presentation's a little weak. Let's try to get him working around like his body, so now he can't use his legs to solve the problem.
Yeah, I'm eliminating kind of like a drag, like an early weight shift into his glove or
Okay.
into the catch line. Sometimes guys get like too top heavy, like we said
Yeah.
earlier, so they'll kind of lead with their glove and just falling over through the catch. So taking out their legs, it kind of just makes them. It just focuses on the catch itself, and then you could also see. I mean, Ian's trying to do a really good job of pressing through like the fielding zone, like the hitting
Yeah.
zone or staying on plane with the ball. Same thing with our glove. We want to stay on plane with it as much as we can. And you can see whenever we do these, like the big focus was, hey, chin looking down the barrel of your arm or looking down the
Mhm.
barrel, of your arm basically. So
I dig.
it's an exaggeration. Are we really gonna, stick really hard through a ground ball all the time? Not really on a short hop. Maybe here and there, but he does a really good job of overemphasizing, staying on a good path glove wise and staying on plane with the ball and then
Yeah,
just staying balanced and a good posture. He's not like falling forward after the pick.
I dig it. Let's move on to this next one here. This is a tennis ball one, I think. Yeah. Talk about like maximizing space. You could do this in a tunnel. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
funny. You could be.
if you zoom out, so the reason why I use this one, I mean, you could use this in a tunnel as well in a regular cage, but there's like three sets. So in this, I believe I have all my infielders, and there's three sets of cones, so they're all kind of doing the same drill,
Mhm.
but they're all in their in a line of two, I guess you could say.
I dig it.
So,
I dig
but
it.
yeah, they're good.
So Joel, when you're doing this, I wonder. So you're using it. Is that tennis? You're using a tennis ball there. I wonder what would happen if, like, as you go through this progression, like, if now you go, okay, now we start switching it into like different weighted balls. One might be like a smash factor ball, and then a baseball, and then see if they. I wonder if the hand pathing changes because now it's not so bouncy.
Yeah,
Huh.
I guess with the med ball, you're kind of doing the same movement. You're just
Yeah.
incorporating your leg a bit more, and then you go into the tennis ball, and then you go trainer with a baseball glove. Just all building up until a baseball glove with a regular ball baseball.
I dig it. I
You could
dig it.
also use I mean, I don't know if I sent to you, but you could also use a resistance band just to add a little bit of resistant work there.
I like this box drop. Talk to us about this one.
So I just wanted to find something where, again, I could use multiple guys. So there should be 6 guys in that one.
Yeah.
This is a day where it's too cold outside. It's snowing. I'm pretty sure it's snowing. It's early in January, maybe. And we're going to be inside. And it's one of those days where, we don't have any space. We don't have a big, large turf space. So we used our weight room at post. And it was a decent size. And then so all I did was I just took some of the some of the boxes that we have there, and then I just wanted to get them going on their first step on kind of landing soft on the balls of their feet and exploding out. So I used the med ball as a weight, I guess, to help you kind of just overcome that and create a little bit of strength in your lower half. A lot of the things that I do with med balls is just to create strength in the lower half, so that once
Yeah.
they let go of the med ball, they're able to use their muscles and they're ready to go. They've already activated those muscles going into the actual ground ball.
Dig it. Oh, that's cool.
So they
I
can
like
do
these,
forehand,
dude.
you can do backhand. Yeah, it's pretty cool
And
when they
these
all
are
go
usually
together.
what, like 6 pounds, you think?
Those are all 6 pounds. Yeah, I try to stay at 6. I mean, you could do a follow through if you wanted to. You can rotate into it and let it go if you want to have a partner catching it. But
Yeah.
not. I mean, you really need it. It also works on their timing of their left foot strike, gas pedal
Yeah.
through it. They're working on various things here.
It's pretty cool. Looks like we got a training glove there.
That is a Valley glove. Yep.
There we go.
This is at DBAT Cheshire. So we have one lane. And it's like more of like a one-on-one, or I was a smaller group setting there with Hunter Keller. Just working on his first step, just crossing over, trying to keep his upper half. I like to call it just stalking the baseball with your eyes and with your upper half, and then letting your lower half turn towards the ball. I also have some T-claws there. I don't know if I'm using it for this drill, but I think maybe later.
Okay.
But a lot of first step stuff. We might get to the video, we might not, but there's somewhere he's on a knee, and then he kind of explodes out into a forehand.
Yeah.
Variability of it.
There's the box ones.
More boxing too. I mean, the reason why I did a lot of this stuff with these guys is because, I mean, they're Division II athletes. I'm just giving what I got. Sometimes it's not about how many scholarships guys are you going to get. Sometimes you're going to have 60 guys on your roster. So it's on you to kind of develop with the cards that you have. Not saying there's no talent or there's a lack of talent. There's talent everywhere. I'm just saying that if you got him for 4 years, you'll be able to see changes. Let's just say that. And a guy like Hunter Keller, that he's in there, Evan Cornwell, all those guys, doing these types of drills, just footwork, resistance bands, it's just making them more athletic. And if we can start there by creating better athletes, then it'll translate into they can reach more baseballs. They can go further. They can more arm strength. They can have more stamina. All those type of things that you look for a more polished infielder. So
I dig it. Driving out off the band work. I like that. Casey Dimko does a lot of the like band field work too. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah, I think it just goes back to I love strength conditioning as well. So I did a lot of speed and agility stuff when I was in high school. So we use a lot of that. And it felt great. It felt explosive. And above all, we are, explosive athletes. You're trying to be, strong. You're also trying to be quick and explosive. So first step is all about how explosive can be off. So
I dig it.
Hey,
so
Joel.
good.
Hey, Joel, you do a great job of maximizing your space. Talk about how you maximize your time. So like when you say you're jumping into a practice today, Joel, do you explain all of these drills up front to players? Do they already know what you're talking about? Do you have names of them that you just put on a board for that day, or do you talk about them, then you do them, or you talk about a drill, then you do it, then talk about the next one, and then do it? What's your process?
Yeah. So say let's go into a day like this. I mean, we have teamworks at Post. We had teamworks, so you're able to share files. You're able to share Excel docs, PDFs, and in there it's broken down by time. So you'll give your stretch time, about 15 minutes, and then you'll go into the next 10 minutes. You'll go into your into your dailies, and then you go into your med ball work, and then after that we'll go into like the lesson plan of the day. If it's in the fall, you want to get through your basics, through your fundamentals, through that base of what it is that you feel will help the team, win, but also what will make them a better infielder to help the team win. So just having a core of that set of values is always a base. In the spring, it's great, it's all that, but sometimes you got to attack the deficiencies that you have on the field. So if we're struggling on double play turns, great. I would love to have, them continue to work on their forehand in the 6 hole or whatever. But or the backhand 6 hole, but sometimes you just can't. You need to fix, the problem at hand. So yeah, you go through the lesson plan of that day, if it's in the spring, you go on your deficiencies. And then after that, that's usually that'll take about 45 minutes. And then after we go through that, we'll debrief through the day. I don't like to go straight into ground balls because I don't believe that we're really just we're fixing anything, or we're developing in any way, because you don't know what cues you're trying to look for. So if it's in the fall and we're building a base, then we're gonna explain what we're working on for that day. if it's in the spring and we're having trouble with, the double play turn, then we'll go through, pivots, we'll go through, transfers, we'll go through anything and everything that we need to improve on so that when we get to a double play in the season, we'll be able to turn it a little bit more efficiently and then go from there. And then it'll lead into a debrief at the end, and then that's usually about an hour and 15 minutes. And they'll have I usually print it out. I always have it printed out of times broken down into everything. And the beautiful thing about this is that the more you do this, the more the guys get used to it. And it's just like, oh, boom, the first 30 minutes, they know what they're doing. Like they know what they're doing. And it's just like, gives me time to kind of just, if I need to move things around, or if, coach decides, hey, we're going to add another person in, last minute, then it's like, okay, well, then I can take those 30 minutes to kind of just debrief him so that he's not like, deer in headlights when, return double plays today. So that's the neat part of it. Once you create that, routine, they kind of like, oh, all right, coach, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like, we already know. So it's kind of cool. I'd say being organized that way, having, a breakdown would always be best.
I dig it, man. These are some awesome clips, dude. This is good.
Yeah, I'm just trying to mimic
right.
moves we make in a game.
Yeah. I dig it. Oh, I hit the wall there. Right on time. Okay. That was awesome, dude. I know people got something out of that. I know I did. Jeez. Here's some footage of what we've got from our guys at BJE. We got a couple. I mean, I've got too much footage here, but some of the things that I like that we've been doing with our prep has been this athletic throwing carousel. This is something we saw from Ty Blankmeyer at this year's ABCA, and we wanted to integrate it into our space. And we've got a ton of space here, but usually our sessions with our Bo Jackson teams are working with like 25, 30 kids. So if we're wanting to do athletic throwing, it's really difficult to do that in the field space without just collisions. And so essentially all we're giving them cue-wise is, hey, run this way and throw it at your target. And so this is one cone's line. This is the other cone for the other line. And they've both got an L screen on their side of the field. All I'm giving them is just the visual. Like, here, do this. And so then their bodies start to organize. I was kind of worried about it at first because I didn't know for sure how it was going to go off. But one of the things that we saw early on was like, they just go. Like the second you like let the leash off them a little bit with the athleticism stuff, it gets really, really clean. Especially the visual learners. Like, they have so many people to watch here. And it makes life a little bit easier for them. You don't have to overthink anything. Let me see if I can get this to where it'll load and go. These longer videos, it takes a little bit longer. But again, we just put like 2 basketballs there. And then errant balls being collided into each other. Yeah, it's
always nice to have a little bit of controlled chaos.
A little bit of controlled chaos, man. That's kind of what we're hunting for too.
There were days, I don't know if you remember, Cody. There was a day we hung up targets with zip ties.
Zip ties, right? Yeah, that was funny.
And we made a little competition for the guys to hit different targets, and I think they kind of created competition on their own the first day we did it anyway. So,
well, it's funny. Most of these are on the YouTube channel. This is getting uploaded on anyway, so if these aren't loading, that's okay. But here's another one we do quite a bit is our 3-zone tempo. And Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, but we were giving them different starting points, right? With dots. Was that what we ended up settling on? So in this video, you see 1 dot.
Yeah, we did. Depending on the day, we did different starting points. We had a coach standing next to them. I don't think the coach is in this video, but telling them.
No, this is one of the one-on-one ones.
Oh, okay.
Where we tried to mimic the space.
Yeah, and this one's not with the color. We've done colors and we've done numbers with the zones. I like the colors because I think it's. I mean, I'm a visual learner. I think it's cool to have the colors and understand what square you're working into.
And so this one, all we're doing, this is on audio. So I've got a clock with a metronome in the back. And so the pace of the metronome lets him know what zone to attack in. So sometimes the metronome will be really slow. That's this ball. And if the metronome's really fast, he'll be up here trying to run through this and throw it on the run. And there's also a medium tempo where he'll try to get in this box. So he's got to hear that and then go make his move. Now, with our Bo Jackson guys, let me see if I can find any of it.
Cody, something too, I think, like if you don't have access to that, right, a coach or another fielder behind, and we do this all the time in our mass ground balls, at the crack of the bat, you can yell, red or green, and there all of a sudden that's a cue, just in case, you might not have the fancy radio or anything that's playing behind you for the music to tell you what tempo to go at, but as simple as that person saying, "Hey, green" at the crack of the bat. Now that guy has to adjust and he has to play accordingly.
Or even make the next guy in line do it. Or I know the one day we split up teams and the teams had to tell the other team what they were doing.
That was good, yeah. So most of our guys are working on an airborne post-contact prep step. So the second they saw air under their feet, they weren't even watching for the machine to be shot. That's when they called out the color. And then they could also call out other guys for like for their like earliness on their prep step. Like, hey, you landed too early. That wasn't fair. So you have to find the slot, because this is another thing too. We talk about like finding really fun training environments to do. This is something we've done in the past too, where we do coach feed fungos. Tyler, I think this might be even one of your videos.
I posted about this. Yeah, I love the coach flip fungos. You can also do it from the front side too, right, instead of the side toss, just to give more of that realistic look as well.
Yeah, I love doing this one. This one's really good. Has anybody ever done it off?
This is more fun for us.
Yeah, Joel, I've done it off the tee. I've done it off the tee. I like it and I dislike. I mean, I don't think you get as much velo on it, but you can definitely get some top spin with it. I've done it on one-on-one setting or private lessons.
In a team setting too, I've done it with the tee and front toss. But say you have, maybe you got 10 infielders, make 5 versus 5, right? You can make it a competition where you have the other team hit ground balls, and basically if you get the other team to make an error, you get points, or hey, if you complete the play, you get a point. But just going back to that whole competition side of things, if you have a big group, you can kind of integrate that.
Yeah, I think I remember watching it at the ABCA convention. Somebody was doing it with two coaches off of fungo, off a tee, and it was reacting to whatever coach hit the tee, because you set up 2, so it's kind of react.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who it was, but it was pretty cool. I like it. I want to try it, but I do like the side toss fungo. That one's more realistic. That one's really great. I like that one.
This is here's we finally got some footage of that athletic throwing carousel. So they just roll through, and they do different movements. So that's them rolling out to their left. Here's them rolling out to their right. This is our pick movement. So this one where we added some more variability. This is unedited, so you've got the raw footage here. They'll go post contact landing, and then we'll feed them shallow right or shallow left, and they'll have to attack it and throw it on the run. And we'll have 2 lines going at a time. But
keep in mind too, we have all sort. I think actually this might be all outfielders now that I'm watching it, Cody. But
it is. Yeah, we got a lot of outfielders here.
Yeah, when we've done it, we mixed up infielders, outfielders. We've thrown some catchers just to increase athleticism for every position.
Oh yeah.
We don't just do it with the infielders.
And you'll notice the outfield group. I think the outfield group's the one that's closest to us. The infield group's on the other side. It is. Notice how these outfielders are really hesitant to go make that backhand move. That backhand move is super necessary in the outfield, but a lot of these guys hate doing that. So finding ways to get them comfortable turning the glove over, especially on a ball really low, is hard. So giving them a move where like they have to keep tracking through the baseball gives them a little bit more incentive to keep that glove like held into a backhand position, as opposed to trying to like force their hips around the ball they shouldn't get their hips around.
Yeah,
but they're starting.
It's fun.
Keep going. You're good.
No, I was just saying that we had our outfielders that post kind of join in, just because I mean they're competitive. Our infielders are competitive, and there's always that like, oh, you guys don't work as hard as we do, or like, oh, your guys' stuff isn't as tough as our stuff. And I remember DJ Karen, he was my right hand man. He was our outfielder, and one day with the infielders, like, are we done? I was like, dude, no, we just warmed up. Like this ladder series just warming up. It's like, how do you guys do this? And he's just like, it's just every day. And he's like, you guys work so hard on working through short hops, back picks, and all these things. Like how many times is this actually going to happen in a game? It's just like, dude, it's just another tool in a toolbox, baby. That's all it really is.
Drill it, man. Got to drill it. And where was that one? There was we had a really good video. I might have just posted it on the channel. I don't know if I have it saved here, where we went on the clock. So the clock's a great constraint, like trying to limit the time. So that's a great constraint that we've used. And I think when you put them on the clock, you start to get exposed a little bit from like a flaw standpoint. If I'm being honest, like you just start to see more flaws in the movement. But one of the things that Brandon did that was really good is we had 2 stopwatches going at once. One coach would be randomly trying to punch things through the infield. The other coach would be doing the same thing. And we'd have lines of 3 or 4 guys at each position. And it was rapid fire. Like one ball got through, okay, like quick, like 2-3 second change, get your personnel in, then go. That was so much fun. And we, like, from a rep standpoint, they killed it, but also giving them the clock on that too. Like they didn't have time to think. That's the biggest thing that I've noticed when we're just in the acquisition process as opposed to the mastery process, is they're just overthinking everything. And if we can create an environment that allows them to be free and like just naturally learn movements as opposed to trying to mimic one specific move, I think we get better athletes out of that, and I really just better competitors as well.
Does anybody use the infield timer app?
I don't use the timer app. I've got the stealbases.com one for base stealing that we use, and then just stopwatches. But what's that app got there, Joel?
I mean, I haven't really used it. I just was wondering if maybe one of you guys have used it and liked it. But the concept was, it picks off the app itself. It'll listen for the crack of the bat, and then you can put 4.4, 4.3, whatever time you want, and it'll buzz or it'll ring when it gets to this 4.4 seconds, and you can connect it to a Bluetooth speaker. So it's your phone. It hears the crack of the bat, and then at 4.4, it's burn. It's like a buzzer.
What's that called, Joel?
What is that called, Joe? That might be the one that I sent you guys the other day that I couldn't figure out.
It's a green one. It's called Infield Timer. I mean, I have it on my cloud thing. I've never used it, unfortunately, but it's behind a paywall, I think, now. But it was one of those apps that I saw. I was just like, oh, that might be onto something, but it's hard to tell. Like, how can it tell when it's picking off the sound of the bat? So I don't know. I need to play around with it. I don't know if you guys have anything like that.
That could be easier than me like downloading a screen recording of a metronome on iMovie and just try to hit start a machine. So I like it, man. I like it. Well, guys, that's all I got. You guys got anything you want to add before we get these people out of here?
That's it.
Well, I have a couple. I don't know if you guys. I just have a couple questions, I guess, for you guys.
Go for it.
I mean, it's more of the, how do you guys maximize your time in a bigger group? Because you guys said you guys work with groups of like 15, 20 kids, right?
Sometimes it's like 35, but it just depends on the age group.
So I was able to do like the camp stuff. I had my kids in summer camp and stuff like that at DBAT, but it was always a group of 10, 15. You always do the normal, BP, stretch, throw, cuts and relays, a college camp, like a college setting after you do, reads and all that stuff. Then you go into BP, and then you might go into a simulated game. but I'm doing more of an infield camp, and it's going to be like for 10 kids. I'm capping it at 10 kids every day, every Monday. So I was just wondering, what were some ideas that you guys might could share regarding, just infield play? Because this camp is just for infielders. Because I'll be
Okay.
having camp just for infielders at Towson, and I get to use everything. So what would be some advice you guys would be able to give me?
Brandon, you and Tyler go first.
Yeah.
Is it just you helping? Do we have another coach with you,
Good
or is it
question.
just you?
I can have a player of mine, or players of mine. But if 10, I think I'm okay with a small group of 10. I think I could do just be me and another guy. I don't think I need to have more than that.
Yeah. I've
Joe,
done it. I've done an infield camp too in the past, and it's a blast because I mean you can, depending on how long you do it, even 2 hours, you can really knock out a lot.
Yeah,
And
it's an hour and a half.
I've still hour and a half. Yeah. So I mean, heck, you could do. And you could do 30 minutes of just catch play, right? So, but you're not going to want to. You're going to want to break down everything. But that's the cool part about it. Like, especially if you have a helping hand and you have 10 guys and you get into catch play, the guy you trust, like, man, you can hammer forehands and he can hammer backhands and you can split it up that way and rotate and really hammer a lot. And that's what I would recommend versus, maybe all 10 guys doing the same thing, like just to give some variability, like, hey, this group's going over here is executing that, my group's doing this. And you want them moving around a lot. So, but you also want them to learn. So that was the fun part. I felt like, when I ran my infield camp, it was, hey, we're going to do 10 minutes with me, 10 minutes over there with my guy. And I'm doing backhands, he's doing forehands. And it, just seems like, all right, we're doing a lot more and you can execute a lot that way. So that would just be kind of my recommendation, especially if you have that help to just kind of break the kids up. And it also allows you to be more hands-on, one-on-one, 1-on-5, which is still pretty good numbers.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, because I'll have 2 sessions going on like almost every Monday. It'll be middle schoolers for 4:30 to 6, and then high schoolers 6 to 7:30. So, and they're all capped at 10. I wanted to make it capped at 10 so it could be more one-on-one kind of attention. And it's not just like a cash grab of like, I just want to, just for infielders for camp. It's like I kind of want to get, Towson baseball camps to get to the point where I want Towson University to be, well, as long as I'm here or for the future as well, to be a spot where elite infielders go and perform. And when that name comes up, I want an infielder to be like, you know what, I want to go there because, they built this culture around infield play. And then I know I'm going to get better if I go to that institution. So I eventually want to get there, but I didn't want to water it down and just have, unlimited registrations. I kind of want to do it to 10. But Brandon, do you have any advice for me?
Yeah. So we operate at a 1-to-6 ratio typically. Cody's been a part of our infield camps that I've run the past couple seasons. First and foremost, I would say make yourself a checklist of everything that you want to try to accomplish in whatever time constraint you have. So if you have 6 weeks, an hour and a half per week, check off what you want to accomplish, but then also understand like what are the age groups you're dealing with and what's relevant at those age groups. So like if say you have all 8-year-olds for example, I don't know how much you actually want to touch on double play work, right?
Yeah.
That's just an example that comes to my mind, but try to understand what's relevant at that age group, and then like I said, check off the boxes each week. Obviously, harp on catch play, and then keep it fresh each week too. Like Cody saw us do this. Like each week we would do catch play each week, but we might add something different in to catch play each week just to keep it fresh, just to give players a different kind of flavor each week. And for me, like I always try to harp on fundamentals and routine first and foremost. And then as we got into drill work, Tyler's exactly right. Like if you have somebody helping you, do station work. So each station they're doing something different. And then that's why I asked you earlier how you segment your your practices. If you go over everything first, like if you go over every drill first and then do it, or if you go explain, drill, explain, drill, explain, drill. We've done it both ways. I almost feel like explain and then drill and then explain and drill and so on is probably the better way to do it, because you're
Right.
kind of then giving players 1, 2, maybe 3 things to focus on. We all know the youth player can't focus on 15 different things. So just
Right.
kind of give them a little like shopping list or checklist of things that they can focus on in that one drill. And you know, if it's you and another guy and you have 20 kids for example, now it's 1 to 10, but you can still have those 10 guys working in 2 groups, or 5 groups of 2, I should say, working with each other. And now they're thinking about things. So good example, like glove work. When we do our infield sessions, we have a 24 kids with 4 coaches, whatever it is. And, we'll say, hey, go to your corner, go to your spot, do your glove work. Here are the couple things, 3, 4, maybe 5 things we're focusing on in these glove work, these little glove work routines. So yeah, just like I said, explain those little things, get them understanding like what's right, what am I trying to accomplish here, and yeah, just keep, like Tyler said, keep it fast paced, keep it fun. We would always end with some sort of game, and not just like a mindless game, but a game that we're trying to accomplish some sort of skill acquisition piece where, like Cody mentioned, the timing part of it. We would get to a spot where if we were going just full on ground ball, we were adding a clock in, or if it was just a smaller setting, we were adding some sort of goal, the winning team, the winning team gets to do whatever at the end. So just keep it fun and kind of, I would say, build up to that if you can, or even just find like little segments, like every 30 minutes, you're going to end that 30 minutes with a game of what you did that previous, the previous 30 minutes.
Right. I mean, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I guess like the high schooler or the middle schooler, they really focus on wanting to have fun. So they really want that aspect. And I don't know if I've been away from that for a while now, but I've been more on the collegiate side, where it's like they want to have fun, but like it's like, you're here for a reason, coach. Like, you're here to get me better, and their end all be all goal is they want to move on professionally and everything like that. So I also need to remember that it's like you said, that was really good, and taking into consideration, like, make it realistic. A college kid, he's gonna want to have fun, yeah, but he's also like, all right, I want to develop. Like, we needed this time to actually get better, to perform, on for the weekend series, whatever the case may be. But for kids, like you said, yeah, like, it's gonna be development, but it's also fun. So I think I'll take into consideration just adding games and making a competition out of it, and knowing and differentiating between age groups. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no matter the age level, I mean, the game of baseball is a results-based game, a results-driven game. So, finding ways to add that competition level. And obviously I work with Tyler's brother, and he always harps on competition and creating competition, and teaching players, I should say, how to compete at younger age groups, and finding ways to make games results driven, and have some sort of failure with it too, so you can teach not only the winning but also the losing part of the game.
Right.
Yeah, and I think within everything, like those rotations and stuff, like you have your learning segment piece where you go over it, but you can match it with a game too, a competition, to end each group, right, or end each day. Going back to like that athletic throwing video that Cody and Brandon showed, the competition piece of putting up targets. You could do, you can do glove competitions, the most catches, right, knockout style, whatever. But the competition piece, I don't think ever goes away, even on the college side. And you're right, like guys on the college front, it's, hey, how do you get me better? How do you get me to the next level? But they're kids too at heart. Baseball players are, just in general, but in the camp setting for sure. I think adding competitions maybe whether it's in the middle of camp and at the end or just at the end, you have a competition each day. That'll just make it fun, and that's going to make them want to come back, right? And
Right.
kind of build up that camp base moving forward.
So, thanks. I appreciate that, guys.
Awesome, guys. That's good stuff. That's good stuff. Well, I'll tell you what, I learned a lot there. I know the listeners for sure got a ton out of this. Special shout out to Valley and Heater for sponsoring this episode. Thank you to Tyler, Brandon, Joel for coming on. This has been a blast, guys. I really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us, Cody. Sorry I was late.
No, you're good. You're working, man. You gotta do your thing. Go get some wins. That's awesome.
Trying.
We will see you guys later. Again, thank you. We'll catch you next time.